The offensive line has always been a hotbed of conversation and consternation amongst Minnesota Fighting Vikings fans. Spielman ignores the offensive line, or this guy's a bust, that guy sucks, not worth the money, blah, 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 blah. But what about the jabroni in charge of coaching and developing these guys? What about one Rick Dennison, a.k.a. Gary Kubiak's toady, huh? Like, what about that guy? And our guy, Will Ragatz over at Sports Illustrated, openly asked, should the Vikings consider canning his ass and bringing in Aaron Cromer, longtime respected offensive line guru, recently of the Los Angeles Rams of Anaheim. So here's what he wrote. As they look to implement Kubiak's wide zone system, Minnesota's first draft pick was athletic center Garrett Bradbury. The pick was seen as a reach at the time and looks like a major mistake 2 years later. Well, it's harsh, but fair. Although there's still time for Bradbury to improve, he's been solid in the running game, but horrendous in pass protection, which is a microcosm of the Vikings offensive line as a whole. The selection of Bradbury, combined with an appalling lack of attention paid to the guard position, has resulted in the Vikings having a glaring weakness on the interior of their O-line. Tackles rightly for Brian O'Neill have been solid, but not nearly good enough to make up for the poor play of the interior trio. And 100%. Bradbury is still the same guy that he was 2 years ago. Phenomenal, grim reacher, getting out second level. The movement skills are great, but getting canned in one-on-one pass blocking spots. And he hasn't been helped by the guards that have been flanking him either. Pat Elflein, Drew Samia, Dakota Dozier, of course. And then getting rid of the one competent guy, Josh Klein. No. In 2019, the Vikings finished 27th in pass blocking grade and 12th in run blocking grade per Pro Football Focus. That was a slight improvement from 2018, but still a significant drop-off from the final season under the late great Tony Sperano in 2017. Despite using a draft pick in the first 2 rounds on offensive lineman Ezra Cleveland for the 3rd straight year in 2020, the line has gotten even worse last season, replacing a reliable guard in Josh Klein with perhaps the league's worst guard, the worst, in Dakota Dozier was the catalyst of a drop from 29th in pass blocking grade and 18th in run blocking grade. So I know it's a slogan to say that Spielman ignores the offensive line. It's basically like a bumper sticker, like campaign promise at this point, but he hasn't. 2017, major free agent deals in the offseason for Riley Reif and Mike Remmers, the second highest deals for left and right tackles, respectively, that offseason, where only eclipsed by Russell Kuhn at left tackle and pretty Ricky Wagner at right tackle. And then you drafted Elflein at the top of the 3rd round. 2018, you took Brian O'Neill, number 62 overall in the 2nd round. And then 2019, you signed Josh Klein to a free agent deal. You draft Garrett Bradbury, number 18 overall. And then 2020, you take Ezra Cleveland. So assets have been deployed on the offensive line, both in spending and free agency as well as draft capital, but it just hasn't gotten together. And he continues, but blame could also be assigned to Dennison for the troubling lack of development among offensive linemen since he arrived. Bradbury doesn't appear to have taken any meaningful strides since he was drafted. O'Neill regressed slightly in 2020, and which might be concerning for the Vikings as they enter into extension talks with his camp this offseason. Day 3 picks like Drew Samia and Oli Udoh haven't panned out, which may or may not have anything to do with poor coaching. It's still too early to tell with Cleveland. Now, not on board with writing off Oli, but Samia getting shelled for those handful of weeks after he replaced Pat Elflein with zero change in technique, zero change in the lineup. Nah. And the big, I know that all the crap gets dumped on Spielman is like, well, how come this guy sucks? How come this guy this? How come he's not panning out there? But how come they're not developing? That's where coaching comes in. And it comes from Dennison. It comes from the OC. It comes from Zimmer. Even though, yeah, he is a defensive guy, doesn't really do anything with the offense, but that's still on him, man. Like, he coaches both sides of the ball last time I checked. But same thing with Elflein at left guard 2 years ago, and then right guard last year. Just handed that job. And then Dakota Dozier. I understand that Dakota Dozier played well for you when you were with the Jets for that 1 year, but no, but no changes, no improvement, just bashing your head against the wall. And I do say that it's on Zimmer's plate too, because he's a head coach. He could have been like, hey, we need to try something different. You know, Kirk is continually getting interior pressure. Bradbury is being left out to dry. This guard play has to change. Do something. Change something, Rick. Change something, Kubiak. Do something, right? But besides Brian O'Neill, name the last good offensive lineman. Not even great, but just good offensive lineman the Vikings have drafted and then developed in-house. Huh? Do you have to go back to Phil Lodeholt 2009? Like John Sullivan 2008? That's depressing, man. It's 11 years. Well, it's going to be 12 after this draft. That's crazy. Then it gets into talks about Aaron Cromer, how he was just let go by the Rams and would be legit, longtime, highly respected offensive line coach. Was also the Bears OC for 2 years, but don't hold that against him. So I think the Vikings should consider a change, even if it is going the respectful route, going the classy route of firing by promotion, like Rick becomes senior offensive line advisor or something, right? Clint is his own man. No need to keep on your daddy's golf buddies just because, oh, this is my first time as OC. Hey, Rick, Pretty Ricky, I understand that you're like my uncle to me, but you're fired. You're gone. And you have to worry about that lack of development. And it does feel like they're wasting Bradbury, potentially wasting Ezra if he doesn't take meaningful steps in year 2. Yeah, they can run the ball, cool. But guess what? With a new offensive line coach, they'll still be able to run the ball, and maybe they'll be able to protect Kirk Cousins better, especially on the interior. So keep Kirk upright, and then all of a sudden, oh, best offense in the league. Oh, scoring 40 a game. Oh, hoisting that Jerome Bardi at the end of the season. Crazy. But yes. Start by firing Rick Dennison. Be your thoughts. Sports Illustrated. Fire Pretty Ricky Dennison. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work? Post something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.